Hey everybody, Austin here. Just wanted to go ahead and do my very first non-trip video and talk to you about drones while hiking and why I choose to carry a drone with me on my hiking and my paddling trips, and then why I think this drone, this quad, the DJI Spark, is the ideal drone for these kinds of trips. I'm going to talk about some of the things I like, some of the things I don't like. I'll also talk about why I have not upgraded to the DJI Mavic Air, which is, it's definitely got some differences to this one, but I'm going to talk about why I choose to stick with the Spark. And finally, I'll talk about a few accessories that I've purchased since I've had the Spark that have made life just a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and get started. Why do I take a drone with me when I'm hiking and when I'm paddling? Why would I put myself through carrying all the extra weight that goes into bringing one of these along? The simple answer is that a lot of people fly drones because they're fun to fly. I fly drones on trips because I view this as a little camera with wings. And so I can put this camera wherever I want for the most part. I use it for establishing shots, for unique perspectives and B-roll, and it allows me to get shots and angles that a traditional non-winged camera just simply can't do. Some of the shots I like to do, obviously there's the super high bird's eye view shots that you'll see a lot, the overhead shots, and those are really cool. I also really like to do the non-traditional shots where you're in a tight space or you're in an enclosed area. So when I'm on a trip, I will ask myself, where would I like to put a camera? If I can physically walk to that spot, then great. But this drone makes it so that I can put that camera just about anywhere. And I'll say to anybody that's thinking about drone flying or already has a drone, the only limit to drone videography is your own creativity. So my history with the Spark is a little rocky. I've had a Spark since spring of 2018, and I will have to say that it is a fantastic drone if you're a first-time drone flyer. It's my first time flying a drone, and I don't have experience with any other drones. So this is, the Spark is my drone experience. I would say from a beginner's perspective, the Spark is very cost effective. As far as drones go, it's one of the least expensive ones that you can get and still have a good tool for shooting quality video. It's very user-friendly as far as controls go and learning the controls and learning the different shooting modes. And it's also extremely durable. I can personally say that I have crashed the Spark more times than I can count. And for the most part, it has held up extremely well in situations that I thought I had killed it. I've taken the Spark out on a bunch of multi-day trips out in the mountains, gone to the high desert of Utah, taken it to the beach, and also on some paddling trips as well. And it has been extremely versatile in all of those trips and really shot some great video. What I've learned in the time that I've had the Spark is that you can't fly something that you're not willing to watch fly away. Drones are machines at the end of the day, and they do malfunction sometimes. Sometimes human error is also a cause or a contributing factor. The first time that I thought I lost my Spark, we were out at the beach, and I was doing a cool shot where I was having the drone follow the car. And we were driving down the road, and the mistake I made was that I thought that I still had enough battery left to do the shot and then land it and then go pick up the drone. What happened was I ran out of battery to the point where the drone decided that it needed to do the return to home. And so it started flying back away from me from where we had just come. And I tried to override the return to home, and in the process, lost contact, like wireless contact with the drone. And so what I found out later was that it did indeed return to the same general area that we took off. But I thought I had lost that drone, and it took me 3 days of going back and forth in that area before I actually found it. And my second story for why you shouldn't fly something that you're not willing to watch fly away was last summer on our Cape Fear canoeing trip. We had finished our first day and made it to the campsite. And I decided to get out the drone to do some shots with John and the rest of the guys as they were fishing and out on the river. And I had the drone take off, and it was probably a combination of some malfunction on the drone because I didn't have a good GPS lock, and then my own inexperience flying the drone. And the drone took off, went all the way across the river, hit a branch, and plooch, took a swim. And that was this drone right here. And amazingly, my buddy Logan found the drone after it had been underwater for about 5 minutes. Miraculously, it was still on. So I immediately turned it off, removed the battery, and brought it home, let it dry out for about a week, and then powered it back on. And there are just a few things going on with it that it didn't want to take off, but it would still turn on. So I sent it to DJI, and the verdict was that it was going to cost more to fix it than it would be for me to buy a new one. So I decided to hang on to this one for a keepsake, and then I bought my refurbished drone on Amazon, and this one has served me very well since. So I've been flying this one for about a year, knock on wood, no issues. So let's talk about some of the pros of the DJI Spark. The first is gotta be its size. This thing is tiny. Even though the Spark doesn't fold up like the Mavic Air, it still fits very easily into the top lid of my backpack, along with the controller and some extra batteries. So the next thing I really like about the Spark is its weight. The takeoff weight, so the drone and the battery together weigh 10.7 ounces according to my scale. The battery by itself weighs 3.4 ounces, and then the controller weighs 10.1 ounces. So everything is still going to be lightweight. Now for you ultralighters, you're probably cringing. I really like the case that comes with the Spark. The DJI styrofoam case weighs 2.8 ounces, and it does a great job of protecting the Spark and just being lightweight enough that I can still carry it on a backpacking trip. The next thing I really like about the Spark is its cost. A Fly More combo is what they call it. It goes for about $625 on Amazon, and that Fly More combo is everything you might need. It comes with the drone, it comes with 2 batteries, it comes with a controller, a charging station, even a handy dandy little bag, and that's everything that you might want. The Renewed drone that I bought on Amazon, I got for $345, and then I also bought an extra battery, which equates to more flying time and more shots. And that battery goes for about $48 on Amazon. And I know that sounds like a lot of money, because for me, it is a lot of money. But when you compare it to the drone market and what's out there, and then what you get for that money, the Spark is an incredible value. The thing that makes me stick with the Spark over any other drone right now is the fact that you can actually charge the Spark directly from a battery pack with a micro USB cord. For me, this is a game changer, because when I go out on trips, I'm out there for multiple days. I don't have a car charger. I don't have a wall outlet that I can charge from. And so I need a mobile charging option that doesn't weigh a whole bunch. There are some options out there for the Mavic Air for mobile charging, but again, the best I can find is at least a couple of pounds for a battery or a recharging option. And so that's just not the weight I'm willing to carry around just for a drone charger. So I'm able to use my battery packs that I use to charge everything else with, and I can charge my drone batteries as well. One of the other things that I use to charge the Spark is a external USB charger. I found this thing on Amazon, and it allows me to charge a second battery. While there's one battery in the drone being charged, I can charge a second battery via a USB-C data cable, plug that into a battery pack, and I can charge another battery along with it. The charger itself weighs about 2 ounces, and the battery pack that I use is an Anker PowerCore 2 20,000 milliamp battery pack that has the options for either a 12 volt or an 18 volt output. So when I plug in the charger to the 18 volt output, I can usually get a pretty good charge out of that. And then each battery pack, each 20,000 milliamp battery pack, I can generally get about 3.5 Spark battery charges out of that. The biggest weight that I have with all of the drone accessories are going to be the battery packs that I use to charge the batteries. The Anker PowerCore 2 20,000 milliamp battery pack weighs just over 14 ounces, 14.3 ounces. So that's almost a pound for a battery pack. So that's clearly a lot of weight, but when you compare it to what else is out there, that's going to be the lightest weight option that I can find to charge my batteries while I'm out in the woods. I also really like the usability of the Spark's hand controls. If you're used to playing video games, then you're going to be able to pick up a hand controller and start flying the drone pretty easily. It's got a couple of different flying modes that you can choose from, whichever one is more comfortable for you. It also has some options for quick shots, so you can have the drone follow you. You can put it on autopilot and fly it from one point to another point. You can have it circle you. There are a lot of different modes that you can choose from to actually have the drone do some autonomous flying. And then it also has what they call tripod mode. And that tripod mode slows the camera movements down considerably so that you get those nice fluid camera movements. Another unique feature of the Spark is the fact that you can launch it and land it in your hand. The Spark is equipped with hand gesture mode, so you can actually control it without the controller. I found this more of a novelty than an actual functional feature, but it still is extremely handy, especially when I'm in the boat that I need to be able to launch and land the drone in my hand, so it's not landing in the water. And lastly, the thing I love about this drone, even though I did drown one, is its survivability. Like I said, I've crashed this drone more times than I can count, and for the most part it has come back fine without any kind of issues. I'll touch on a few what might be considered cons for the Spark, but everything I'm going to talk about kind of goes hand in hand with what you might have for a less expensive drone like the Spark. The Spark is an incredibly powerful little drone, but it does have its limitations. The first is video quality. The Spark shoots 1080p video in 30 frames a second. So if you're a camera guru or a video guru, 1080p at 30 frames a second may not be for you. It doesn't shoot 4K or 120 frames a second like the Mavic Air, and the gimbal is also a 2-axis gimbal versus a 3-axis gimbal. If you're like me, this is not going to really be a drawback. I am not in any way a professional, and 30 frames a second at 1080p is going to be just fine. The next kind of downside for the Spark that I see is the flying time that you can get out of it with the battery life. DJI says that you can get 16 minutes of flying time out of the battery. I found just on flying the drone that I can usually get between 9 to 10 minutes of good video before I reach the 30% mark on the battery life, and then that's usually where the drone will give you the warning that it's got a low battery, and that's the time that you need to go and figure out where and how you're going to land. The last negative I'll have for the Spark, and I think this might go for just about any of DJI's drones, is that the drone acts really, really weird when it does not have a good GPS lock. When I was flying in Utah last summer, and I was down in a canyon and I couldn't get a GPS lock, I would reach a max elevation, and because the drone couldn't get a GPS lock, it wouldn't go any farther or any higher. It would also sometimes not respond to controls or just fly anywhere it wanted without me doing anything to it. So when the drone doesn't have a good GPS lock, it can be unpredictable. So my rule for flying now is most of the time I will wait until I have a GPS lock before I'll even take off, because I don't want to run the risk of it flying off somewhere. Some of the accessories that I have purchased since I've had the Spark have been very helpful. The first thing that I will talk about is something that I really wish I had known about before I had started flying, and that's DJI's insurance policy. They call it DJI Care Refresh, and it's essentially an insurance policy that protects you against damage or anything like that. As long as you can recover the drone and return it to DJI, they can give you either replace or repair your drone. To start the policy last year, I paid $59, and then I just renewed it, and the renewal fee was $39. So this gives me a much greater peace of mind when I'm flying, and quite honestly, it could have saved me a whole bunch of money when I crashed and drowned my first drone in the Cape Fear River. Once I recovered it, I could have probably not had to buy a refurbished one for $345. The next accessory that I got was something that I thought DJI might actually include with the drone, but they didn't for some reason. But that's a gimbal cover. The gimbal has got to be one of the most delicate but most important parts of the drone, especially for the camera. And so you got to protect that, because if you're like me, you can be rough on equipment and it's going in and out of bags, it's getting dropped, and that gimbal can only take so much abuse. So a gimbal cover to protect that, absolutely key. I also got a set of ND or neutral density filters, and when I first started flying, what I didn't realize until I started getting serious about making videos was that without the ND filters, sometimes the Spark can have either a washed out video. I was getting a lot of horizontal lines across my footage because the camera would just get washed out with bright sunlight. And so the ND filters are kind of sunglasses, for lack of a better term. Another thing I got was a case for the controller, so I can take it on backpacking trips and throw the controller right in my backpacking lid along with the drone. The case itself weighs about 5 ounces and so far so good. I've had it for about a year now and no issues. And the last thing, and this is kind of a small thing that I have learned through trial and error, is a attachment point for the controller so that I can hook the controller onto my backpack or somewhere else, so I don't have to worry about holding the controller while I'm walking or anything like that. If I'm trying to get a walking shot or something like that, it gives me just a little more security while I'm walking. So that's my take on the Spark. There may come a time where I quote unquote upgrade to another drone, but for right now this little guy is doing everything that I ask it to do and still keeps on ticking. If you're interested in any of the items that I mentioned, I'll go ahead and put links in the description below where you can check it out and see if there's something you like. But that's all I've got. If you got any questions or anything like that, feel free to shoot them my way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. It would one of the other things that I really like about the Spark, have the drone either fly. It also has some quick shot. The drone starts getting hokey. Take the controller and put it right while the Spark isn't in. So apparently the deer are pretty tame here. I don't know if you can see that in the background, but they're just chilling out, completely unfazed by the fact that I'm here.